Mutations are coming to Brawl Stars very soon, so I'm going to rank every single one of them from best to worst, so you know which ones to look out for and which ones to never, ever touch. Like Leon's. Leon has to have the worst mutation in the game. Now, the entire point of his super is to hide from your enemies and surprise them when they least expect it. But this mutation does the exact opposite. It spawns 2 huge Leon clones when you use your super that might as well be screaming your location. At number 39, we have Mandy. Her super shoots out 3 sugar rays in a cone shape, which sounds pretty awesome on paper, but in practice, it doesn't have as much impact as you'd think. I mean, of course, you could get some really lucky supers where you get some insane triple kills, but compared to all the other mutations, I don't think Mandy's is going to be that great. But what is great is this segue to today's sponsor. If you like Battle Royale games and playing with friends, but you want it to be light and fun, then you gotta check this game out. 1v1.lol is a fast-paced mobile game where you drop into the map and get into the action as you battle it out versus players from around the world. With well over 10 million downloads, this is a game that everyone is playing right now. What's special about this game is the combination of the building mechanics and the champions that all have unique and special abilities. From shadow clones to massive snowballs, each one is different, so you can play the style that you want to play. You might have seen me or other creators play it, and especially now you can find huge YouTuber skins in the game like Unspeakable, FaZe Rug, or even Booga's weapon. They are for a limited time only, so go get it for free before it becomes unavailable. There's also a ton of weapons to unlock and upgrade, from the basic pump shotgun to the Tesla cannon. You can choose your loadout before you go into battle. 1v1.lol is 100% free to download and play. Go check it out right now at the link in the description or search it on the App Store. Big thanks to 1v1.lol for sponsoring today's video. Next up, we have Roses, and she keeps it bushy as whenever she uses her super, she'll spawn a circle of bushes around her. Now for a mutation, this one's pretty boring to me, and I don't think that she's going to get a ton of value from it, especially considering how easy it is for some of these upcoming brawlers to destroy the environment. Another boring one here is Surge, because with one super, he instantly upgrades himself to level 4. Now, sure, level 4 Surge is absolutely cracked, but this mutation doesn't add anything new to his kit. I mean, what happened to Surge being cool? Now, Gray's mutation is pretty fun. Being able to have 3 portals active on the map at once is sure to confuse your enemies, but as a solo mutation, it doesn't hold a candle to the other ones on this list. Now, I base this list on how good each mutation is for the individual brawler. Gray's being this low on the list doesn't mean that it's going to be horrible, because paired with a team like Jackie and Rosa, where your entire goal is to get to the center of the map and deathball the enemy, those extra portals will absolutely add plenty of value. Moving on to number 35, we have Janet. During her jetpack joyride, she borrows from America's reserve as she drops down twice the amount of bombs as usual. She's going to be extremely annoying, as on top of the non-stop carpet bombing, she charges her super faster. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw games where Janet was in the air more than she was on the ground. Shelly moves right in above Janet as her shotgun turns into a double barrel. Shooting twice up close, she can get her super instantly and destroy pretty much any brawler within a second. However, this was already Shelly's strong suit. It makes her better at what she's already good at, but it doesn't really help her otherwise. Now for Gale, it seems like something kind of went wrong with his mutation, as his balls are tiny now. But there are a lot of them. His attack becomes wider than his super, making sure to sweep up all of the unwanted trash on the field. In fact, his attack is so wide, you can sit behind a wall, aim straight ahead, and your snowballs will spawn out of nowhere. That's what I call making it snow. At number 32, we have Bee, and with every one of her main attacks, she spawns a rattled hive projectile that spins around her and hits her enemies. This is going to be really annoying to face, as you're going to have to constantly keep an eye out for a projectile coming from the side, but as far as mutations go, this is actually one of the more tame ones. Her rattled hive doesn't do that much damage, and you don't usually want to spam your attack with Bee when you have that big shot charged up. Now, if you're like me and you struggle to dodge Grom's bombs, well, you don't got to worry about that anymore, as Well, basically, you might as well just give up when he gets his super. There is absolutely no running from this one as his giant bomb explodes in every direction, leaving nowhere to hide. Now, as crazy as this looks, you can only be hit with one ground bomb from his super at a time, making it not completely hopeless to escape his wrath. And speaking of escaping, there is no way that you're going to be able to escape Squeak's super either. When he lobs his big blob, the bloms are now the size of his regular attacks. Similar to Grom, if you don't hide behind a wall, there is no escape from Squeak's goo. Now that sounds like a nightmare to get away from, but this next mutation, I've actually had nightmares about, and it's Bo. Every time I face a Bo, I manage to find all 3 of his mines every single time. I don't know what it is. I'm like a magnet for them. And now, I don't even want to imagine what playing against Mutant Bo is going to be like. You know, I'm hoping that placing him low on this list, I'm going to deter people from playing him, which means I'll run into less mines. So yeah, and continuing on with our theme of annoying brawlers, we have Sprout. This mutated plant will now shoot 2 seed bombs back to back, and these bombs are going to get really annoying when they start bouncing all over the place. Not only that, but more bombs means more walls. Sprout is going to have an absolute field day with his doubled attack. And speaking of doubling, Penny now deploys 2 cannons instead of 1. Dodging and weaving with a Penny turret on your back is already difficult enough, but 2 of them? Lord have mercy.
I'm about to bub.
Next up on our list is Belle. When she hits an enemy, her shocker splits into 5 additional shockers, and you do not want to be near your teammate when they get hit by this, and of course they will. They deal as much damage as her main attack, as well as spawn an additional electro bolt, which will bounce from teammate to you, and you keep trying to run away, and they won't. They just stay next to you, and you keep getting hit. But that's a me problem. Never mind. That's just me. Belle's already good at keeping teams split up, but this mutation will ensure that your enemies keep a good distance between each other, which is honestly perfect for an assassin like Buzz to take advantage of. And he can do this without you even seeing him coming. His mutation gives him an absolutely absurd super range. He can hook himself from one side of the map all the way to the other, and while this might not be the strongest of mutations, the potential to make insane plays and comebacks in modes like Brawl Ball and Gym Grab are very high. At number 24, we have Bonnie. Her mutant cannon Clyde shoots an extra 2 projectiles at a pretty awkward angle. Her attack shoots out in a really wide cone, so you shouldn't expect to hit all 3 shots all the time, but if you manage to find yourself up close and personal, you can deal more damage than a Shelly super does in 1 shot. And on top of that, when Mutant Bonnie jumps out of her cannon, she'll stun any enemies near her on impact. Poco's mutation heals him and his teammates 74 hit points for 5 seconds every single time he gets hit. Now, where this mutation shines is against multi-projectile brawlers like Pam or Rico, as the more he gets hit, the more he heals. Playing him is really fun, and seeing all of those heal particles is super satisfying. Next up, we have Lola, and she spawns 2 clones with her mutation. Pair this with her healing star power, and Lola becomes a nearly unstoppable killing machine. Well, that is until her clones die. But that's barely an issue, as her mutation also makes her charge her super faster, so you should never be running out of clones. Problem solved! Jumping into number 21 is the luchador himself, El Primo. He's faster, he's tankier, and he's got places to be. I mean, clearly he's got like dinner or something important waiting at home. I don't know, but he wastes no time jumping straight into his enemies with his mutant super. He is insanely fast, and it feels like you're playing the Hulk.
Oh, El Primo smash!
We are now halfway through this list at number 20, and the past few mutations have been pretty good, but the ones coming up I would absolutely take note of, as it only gets crazier from here. Eve is the first brawler on this half of the list, and with her mutation, she spawns 2 little hatchlings whenever she gets hit. Now, her hatchling spawn similar to Poco's healing, where she'll benefit from taking hits from brawlers with a lot of projectiles. The more time she gets hit, the more swarm she spawns, and her babies can overrun you real fast. It's essentially like having a constant shield of babies. There's honestly probably some law against that, but she doesn't seem to care. While Eve's babies seek out and poison enemies, Crow's daggers do the same, except they come back to him. His daggers now boomerang back to him just like his hypercharged daggers do, and they deal an absurd amount of damage. Every dagger you throw can deal double damage as well as pierce through enemies. If you thought Crow was toxic now, just wait until you face this guy. But all hope is not lost in the Brawl world as Pam comes in right above Crow to counter him. Pam gains infinite ammo with her mutation. You're going to be facing a constant barrage of scrap facing up against Pam and constant healing as well if you use her Mama's Hug star power. Now she doesn't deal the most damage, but the constant rain of bolts combined with her healing makes her one of the best mutated support brawlers on this list. And right beside her is Max with the exact same mutation. She gains infinite ammo just like Pam. And with Max's speed, damage, and hypercharge, she is going to be a blast to play as you can run around the map spamming auto aim as much as your heart desires. Or you could actually aim. I mean, I don't know why you would want to do that with Max when you can leave that up to our next brawler, Piper. Actually, I think that I'm better when I auto aim with Piper too. Well, anyways, Piper's mutation makes her shoot twice from her Gunbrella in a similar fashion to Sprout's mutation. Piper is already scary to go against with her huge damage potential, but now that she shoots twice, you better look for cover. Combine her mutation with her homemade recipe and snappy sniping, and you're sure to dominate on any open map with her, if you can hit her shots. So I'm not going to dominate. You might, however, face some challenges against Brock, coming in at number 15. His mutation makes it so he fires 2 rockets at once, and honestly, he is unstoppable. It's actually harder to miss shots than it is to hit them when he's got 2 rockets firing at once, and the damage that he can put out is absurd. But what's also absurd is the amount of rats Mutant Ash throws out during his super. His 5 little helpers turn into 10, which honestly doesn't seem like a big deal for a mutation, but pair that along with his increase in supercharge and Ash is going to be running around your team non-stop with his little rats nibbling at your heels. However, Ash isn't the only brawler who super spawns in double. Nita's mutation allows her to throw down 2 bears at once. With her pet power gear, you essentially have 2 huge meat shields, which can tank over 17,000 damage. You can combine Nita's mutation with her hypercharge and have 2 hypercharged Bruces chasing the enemy down. If the enemy team doesn't have the proper tools to take down your bears, well, they might as well just give up once the death ball starts rolling towards them. Landing in from outer space and in the number 12 spot goes to Ruffs, as his double barrel laser becomes a triple barreled laser, as well as his shots bounce for much longer. In fact, it's kind of ridiculous how much his shots bounce. You can sit behind a wall bouncing lasers and they will fly around the map for what seems like forever. Coming in at number 11 right after Ruffs, we have Colt. His mutation makes it so his 6 shooters can destroy terrain and they have much more range. How much more range, you ask? Using his Magnum Special star power, his main range isn't only further than his super range, but also further than Mandy's range when she's standing still. And on top of that, the ability to break terrain with his normal attack means that he can turn any map into a good map for him. Too many walls? No problem. Too much grass? Not an issue. This mutation is super versatile and will definitely be one to look out for. Now, as you can tell at this point, the mutations have quickly gone from strong to holy crap cakes, that is broken. And moving into the top 10 mutations, it's only going to get crazier from here. The first brawler in the top 10 mutations is Stu. You guys honestly probably saw this one coming, and you will definitely see him coming in-game, but there's no way that you're going to catch him. His mutation is ridiculous. You have infinite supers allowing you to get from one side of the map to the other in record time, all while dodging every single shot coming your way. In the hands of a good player, Stu is going to be nearly impossible to kill. He's going to be extremely annoying to face against, and his mutation is so broken, it was even lagging my game out. However, one issue with this mutant brawler is that my thumb was starting to get sore after spamming the super button. And then there's Hank. I tell you what, I ain't never seen nothing like this old Milky Boy in my whole gosh darn life. Whenever he gets hit, he lets his milk loose and it just sprays all over the place. Just like Poco and Eve, every time he takes damage, his super is activated. I mean, Seriously, how do you stop Hank here? If you try to damage him, you just set off like a nuclear milk explosion. But if you ignore him, he just walks up to you and blows up in your face. At number 9 on this list, Hank is not a brawler that you're going to be able to avoid in this mutant game mode. And you know what else you're not going to be able to avoid? Well, if your answer was Spike, well then you're right, because his mutation doubles the needle split from each cactus he throws. Combine this with Curveball, and there is nowhere to run or hide, as his spikes will get you no matter how much you try to escape them, no matter how good you are at dodging Curveball, you're going to get hit. And while this may seem obvious, I wouldn't recommend running straight at him either, as you're going to get hit by a big old ball of spikes, and you're going to be taking 4,000 damage. Minimum. Rico is up next, and his mutation makes him one of the most fun brawlers to play in the game. Similar to Ruff, his balls are gonna bounce like crazy, and if you find good angles, you can occupy the entire map with your balls. Or you can use Bouncy Castle and get your balls stuck between 2 walls and get infinite healing, which I'm pretty sure is not how it works in real life, but Rico, that's the way he rolls. Now, if you think Mutant Rico is crazy, wait until you hear about Tick, who is a literal death ball. Tick's mutation makes him spawn 3 heads at once, and just like Nita, you can combine his hypercharge with this to make a bomb that even Kim Jong-un would be scared of. It's a big, very big bomb. Seriously, just look at the destruction that Tick is causing. His heads run to the enemy faster than they got time to swipe up and out of the game. And then they drop a barrage of mines dealing 4,000 damage each. Now Tick deals a crap ton of damage, and we need a brawler to soak it all up. Thankfully, cracking the top 5 is the man, or monster, for the job. For Frank's mutation, his normal hammer hits will break walls. Now, you might think that that's kind of counterintuitive to Frank, as he generally prefers using walls to his advantage, but being able to use this to your advantage in a wise manner, like opening up the map for modes like Brawl Ball, can be really good. Wait, what? What's that you're saying? Frank's mutation doesn't sound broken? How's he in the top 5? Oh, silly me. I forgot to mention, he gets extra health, being able to have a maximum of nearly 18,000 health with his sponge star power and his shield gear. But wait, there's more. Frank has movement speed faster than Max. Seriously, just look at how fast he is. It's an 18,000 hit point Frank that can run at you at max speed, all while being able to break any cover that you choose to hide behind. Are you convinced he's the top 5 mutant now? And at number 4 is Melody. Her mutation gives her an extra 2 notes. Now, this mutation isn't outright broken by itself, but the fact is that it's Melody. She's by far the best brawler in the game right now, and that gives her the number 4 spot. Her gadget interlude can give her a 50% shield, as well as she can gain 30% movement speed boost with fast beats. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that if you find yourself near her spinning notes, even for a second, you're pretty much dead, as it's the equivalent of running into a saw blade times 5. Spinning in a circle. And speaking of constantly spinning, Carl does this at light speed as he enters the top 3 on our list. I mean, seriously, do you see this? Mutant Carl is the fastest brawler that Brawl Stars has ever seen. Here's how fast it takes him to get from the bottom of the training cave all the way to the top. Yeah, that is insane. His main pickaxe speed is also quicker, making him an even better brawler, but does that even really matter when he can go to the other side of the map a second after seeing him spawn? I'll tell you what does matter though, and that's the fact that Angelo's bow now shoots off 3 arrows instead of 1, as if he didn't already deal enough damage. The cone in which his arrows shoot is also surprisingly tight, making it very easy to hit his shots at range, and if you fully charge your attack, you can deal a mind-boggling 13,200 damage in 1 shot. Yeah, that is the most amount of damage that any brawler has ever done without power cubes or bugs. Wait a second, sorry, it's actually 15,180 with his damage gear. He can literally one-shot Frank if he's not using his sponge star power. Like, what? And finally, for our number 1 spot. Did you guess it? We have the final boss of Mutations, Meg. You literally cannot miss her shot in mutant form. I could probably miss it, but you probably won't. Her area of attack is so wide, and she fires off so many projectiles. Her mech honestly feels like something Tony Stark would make for his Iron Man suit. You can't beat her from range as she's going to spam you down, and if you try to get close, well, she's just going to slap you in the face with her steel forearm. Whoosh. Ow. Hurt, actually. And even if you do get her out of her mech form, it's Meg, so she can just run around poking you in the butt with her added shot. Oh, yeah, that's right. Her baby form gets an extra shot so you can get back in your mech form that much quicker. And once you do, you're right back to being the most powerful brawler in the game. Now, that was a lot of mutations, and this is just my opinion, but I'd love to hear yours down below.